What's going on, car guys and car gals? It's Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And it's Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we are brewing solutions live on the Car Guy Coffee podcast. And we are excited about the guest that is coming on the show.
Yes, we are.
So you know what you need to do, and that's tag a car guy.
Ooh. Tag a car gal
and share.
That's right.
Get this shared around, everybody.
Man, make sure that you understand that sharing is caring.
Right now.
We're growing. I've been sharing the whole break, that whole intro video. That's what I do every show. I'm in there sharing because I care. I think that we need to share the news, the great news of the people in automotive that are doing amazing things. People from all over the place, people from different walks of life, people that you wouldn't believe could be sitting in the seats that they sit in today. And the guest we have today is one of those people, and I'm super excited to have him on the show. He's somebody that has a story that'll blow your mind. Somebody that if you were talking to him at the age of 18, you'd be like, bro, no way, man. And he's sitting somewhere now where he can share his story, share his journey so that other people can follow that lead and try to do their best to become the best version of themselves. And he does it every day, man. I mean, every day. So I'm pumped up, man. What's going on, bro?
Really pumped up about this. Because, folks, this is, again, just an incredible story of what happens when somebody takes what it is that they're passionate about, make sure to apply 3 F's inside of their life and not get held up by the distractions around them. Lean forward in faith and go after a dream. And that dream doesn't just affect their life. It affects dozens and dozens of people close to them in proximity, right? But also throughout the world. I mean, there's an impact that's been had by this incredible solutionary that we're brewing with right here. So make sure that you get this tagged around. Make sure that you give as much love as you can and pour it out today.
That's right.
Because we have a great guest that we want to bring here onto the show. So car guys and car gals, help make welcome the incredible, the one,
the only Jason Girdner. What's up, bro?
What's up, guys? Now that's an intro.
That's right.
Well-deserved intro, my friend.
Being here, brother. We are pumped up about it.
Oh, man.
So that rocking around. But welcome to the Car Guy Coffee podcast. How are you today?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I know you tried previously, and I couldn't make it work, and I'm glad I found the time to jump on here with you.
Man, we honor that, man. We understand that you're on a grind, that you're on a mission, man. Sometimes you got to put your head down and go. And I know that you get into those phases of like, right now is the moment I have to grow. Right now I have to adapt into this or whatever. And man, I've seen those seasons of your life. We've actually witnessed it. And I love that you share it on social media the way that you do. It's almost like you already have your own podcast because you're just, everyone sees it, right? And it's very special, but it's a journey. And it's a really, really unique journey. I think people need to understand that what he does is what I call high risk with massive rewards, right? And he does that, but he has faith in what he does. He believes that if he puts work behind that faith, he's going to go somewhere. Man, that's a beautiful thing.
And he does. He's a workhorse. But it's not just about the work that you get done. It's more about the effect that you're having to the people that you're working with. And it looks like Phil Tracy's up in here with that. Hey, that's the boss man right there, right? So giving love to you right there. What's going on, Phil? Glad that you're inside. Also, what's going on, Tim Wilson? How are you, brother? Hola, mi amigo. And he's saying what's up. Hola to Jason too.
That's right.
Excited that you're in here. But there's a lot of people that we've had the chance to brew with, to groove with, to talk with, to meet, and we're just so thankful that we get the chance to do it with you. And for us, this is a little victory too. So cheers, subprime hero.
You know
the car guy and the subprime hero got the one and only Jason on the podcast today, and we're pumped up to talk about your story, brother, because it is inspirational.
But before we go anywhere, we always do the 3 F-bombs.
That's right. We drop some F-bombs.
That's right, we do.
And that is to forgive, focus, and fly, everybody. And that's just making sure that we wipe off the weight of unforgiveness. We focus on where it is that we're going, who we can help, and what we got to do. And we stretch out in that faith, and we fly. And once we're up there, we don't just stay right there. We keep growing, keep growing. And that's what we're going to do right here. So let's make history together on the Car Guy Coffee podcast. Jason Girdner is Forgive, Focusing, and Flying with us. Let's go on 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Forgive, focus, fly, and keep growing. That's right.
That's right. We moving. There we go.
That's right. It is that time, man. The show is going and it must go on, man. We got 5 questions we love to ask you, Jason. And the first question, Man, it's an amazing question. Simon Sinek says it all starts with the why. And I know for you, you have a lot of reasons why you are where you're at today. But what has been one of the major whys for you to get you that focus every single day to grow and be the best?
I mean, I'm gonna have to go deep if I'm gonna find the most important one. You know, money was a constant struggle in my family growing up. It was a lot of the reasons why childhood was difficult for me. So, you know, a lot of people work for the money. I work for money so that I don't have to think about it, so that when I go to the store, I don't have to look at a receipt, at a price tag. If I'm buying something, I don't care to negotiate. I will rarely negotiate with someone if I think that the service they're providing is of the value that I'm paying. I work hard so that I don't have to be beholden to money and be a slave to money.
Yes.
And I found that the more money you do have, and it's just the less trouble life throws at you. Or if trouble is thrown at you, it's easier to handle because you're able to not worry about the $5,000 water heater that went out, whereas before that could have been catastrophic and caused arguments in a relationship.
Yeah.
So my deep why is so that I don't have to think about money. I really work hard so less of my life is spent thinking about money.
Man, and that's freedom. That's what you're fighting for, is this freedom. And that's the freedom that growing up the way that you grew up, the way that Lou and I both grew up, we didn't come from much. We had to find out by ourselves. Our parents weren't the best teachers, right? We had to educate. But what some people give up, they use as an excuse. They don't forgive. Man, they don't forget. You don't want to forget, but they don't forgive. And when you don't forgive, man, you hold on to it and you use it as an excuse. You found ways to educate. I love your story. I love when you talked about inside the bio that you sent us, man. It was just thinking about the idea that there was a moment where you were borderline homeless, right? You were just right there at that moment. And just knowing that, what do I do? You said, you know what? No, I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to make sure this does not happen to me. I will not be what my father was. I will not be what my mother is, right? So you keep doing what you're supposed to do. And then you find strength, you find growth in that moment. And you start to see there's more to this in life than just sitting around and hoping to get things. So man, big ups to you, bro.
Yeah, it's
yeah, I think it's difficult in this world with it doesn't matter what level you're at, someone's going to hate you. It doesn't matter if you're at the top or at the bottom. You're going to have peers that when you're proud of your accomplishment, they're going to make you feel like you shouldn't be. When I was at the very, very bottom and in that pay by the week hotel, I really was alone. There was no one in my life. I didn't have, friends around. I didn't have family around. It was just me. And I was able to let go of some of that. It didn't happen instantly, of course, but it was either end up like my dad or make the change and block I had to go through a period of blocking everything out. Everything. I mean, if it didn't involve me educating myself or moving forward in my career, I didn't do it. I didn't watch sports. I didn't go hang out with people at the bar. I didn't go to family functions. My family's dysfunctional, so I probably wouldn't want to go to them anyways. I just had to block everything out and focus on myself and focus on educating myself and giving myself a skill set that was of value to the world.
And that's a path that takes a lot of, we would use, I don't know, cojones, right? I would call it, right?
That's a good way of putting it.
having, I don't know, the right beans in the bag, however you want to do that, but making sure that you are not afraid to break status quo. That's the one thing that I absolutely love about Jason, is his inability to really be conformed to status quo. And I love it. Absolutely love it, because there's so much of the mold that has to be broken off of all of our thinking daily Otherwise, we don't get the upgrade, right? We don't get the update that's needed for us to be able to operate today. If we keep trying to operate based off of yesterday, based off of the status of yesterday and what was normal and finally accepted yesterday, by the time we get to today, we're already way outdated. Could you all imagine not updating your phones, updating your computers, right? Could you imagine that not happening? That's the same thing that has to happen to us. And Jason's on the forefront of what's happening in automotive. You are right now making some big things happen, and you're having explosive growth in the automotive industry inside of your business. But I want to ask, because car guys and car gals probably want to know and probably need to know, brother, how did you get to automotive?
So when I got out of the Army, I worked construction with my stepdad for a bit. My brother-in-law was selling student loans over the phone. I was working 15-hour days doing sheet metal to make $7.45 an hour or whatever it was. And he was making $5,000-$6,000 a month in a comfy job, worked, 7 hours a day. And I was sitting on the drywall in the garage looking at the help wanted ads in the newspaper, because we had computers, but no one really had smartphones back then. It was help wanted ads. And, I'm going through all the different jobs that are in there thinking, man, I don't want to be a construction person making $7.45 an hour. And sales just kept calling me. Every time I'd go through the help wanted ads, I'd look at the sales ads and it would say, make tons of money, all this great stuff. And it just kept calling me, and I had him. So I made the leap to get into sales, and I got a pretty ghetto telemarketing job in downtown San Diego, selling ad specialties over the phone. It was a work furlough stop for people that were, on work furlough. And it was a hardcore telemarketing job. You didn't have a chair. You stood at a computer and you yelled into the phone. And I was a liner, and I'd line people, and then we'd pass it over to a closer. And I did really well. I had probably 3 or 4 other telemarketing jobs before the car business, that each one of them, I was just the best in the room. I didn't really try. Just for some reason, I was good at selling on the phone. It didn't matter what I was selling. It didn't matter if it was those ballpoint pens or long distance or mortgages or whatever it was. I got my head up my rear end, which I tend to do sometimes, and I think we all tend to do occasionally. And I was at one of those telemarketing jobs, and they were like, you can't use your personal email or your work email for personal stuff. And I told my boss where he could go, and they fired me. And I ended up in a garage in Pacific Beach after that, Pacific Beach, California. I was living in a converted garage with my girlfriend for about 3 months, no job. And I'm looking in the help wanted ads. I basically had nothing. I had a skateboard and a garage and barely like enough clothes to make it a week. And I found a job on Craigslist because I was going through a computer, and found a job at Telinform was the name of the company back then. It was Credit Link was the product they sold, and the company name was Telinform. And it was a telemarketing job, cold calling car dealers on the phone.
Wow.
And I went in for my interview. They said the assistant manager broke down what I could make. I went home. I sold my girlfriend on all this money I could make at this job, and came in and started making cold calls to car dealers. I, within my first 4 days, sold my first dealer. By the end of my second month, I was salesman of the month, and I came in like April, and I was able to beat everyone and win a Rolex for salesman of the year, even with a short year in my first year. I was just crazy at the time. I mean, I was definitely, I was using drugs and making more money than I'd ever made at the time, and had my head up my rear end again. And it was like the third day of the next year. I think this was 2002. And I'm walking around the room like the peacock, like pissing everyone off. And I won this Rolex. And the assistant sales manager didn't like me very much. And he said something to me, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go home until Raul gets back. And Raul was on vacation. So he calls Raul, tells him I quit, and they fired me. After a year of I think I made like $70,000 that year, which was insane. And I was supposed to get a Rolex.
Yep.
It was a lot of money for me. And that put me back. God did that. And I want to talk about that a second, because I didn't understand why God did that. So they fired me and I basically imploded. I ended up back in a trailer with my dad, and this broke down, fifth wheel in the middle of Palma Valley, California. It was like 110 degrees with no air conditioner. It was just a miserable existence. My dad worked at a factory. It's called R&F Products, and I worked with him on the night shift. And a guy by the name of Ryan Flores worked there with his dad as well, and we both worked on the night shift. I did that for probably 7-8 months. Got to know Ryan really well. The company split up, and then one of the owners called me from the new company and said, "Hey, we want you to steal the old company's clients." So I was like, "I'm in." They fired me. So I went over there, started taking clients from Teleform. I was going back to see Ryan, and Ryan was like, "Where are you getting these cars? Where are you getting this money? Like, you were just working in this factory with me for $7 an hour. What are you doing? Selling drugs?" So I got him to come over and sell for me. And I was his manager, and he started selling the loan by phone hotlines with me. And he always talked about wanting to do web development, because we had like these little web pages for credit applications. Back then it was called Credit Web. And he wanted to be on the team that made those little applications. And I would never let him, because you know how it is. You don't ever want to let your salespeople go. Like if they're mediocre, it's like, nah, I'm going to keep you in sales. So he ended up quitting and went and started working for a web design firm. And he is now our CTO of TECOBI, and responsible for a lot of the code that has created TECOBI. So if it wasn't for getting fired from that first job, which felt like a pretty heavy blow as a young 20-year-old, thinking you're on top of the world, you're the best there is, and then you just get punched right in the jaw. It was and sitting in that hot 110 degree weather in that RV was probably one of the lowest points of my life. I think the hotel was better because the hotel at least had air conditioning.
Right.
The RV was miserable. But that resulted in a CTO and my best friend and brother. And we've built quite a few companies since together. And both have learned how to write software together and grow in our skill set. So that's how I got in the car business, was as a telemarketer, grinding it out, making 200 calls a day, calling decision makers at dealerships to sell them technology.
Wow.
Incredible.
Dude.
So you said you were going to get back to the role that God played inside of giving you that lesson, because 100% agree. And I encourage anybody listening, watching, hearing, sharing to understand that anytime that your pride starts to puff up, there's going to be a pull down that will occur. And it's not necessarily that it takes too much to topple all the bricks. It just takes one little, that's it. Right. And if you heard how Jason said it, especially all you superstar top performers, go ahead and tell your bosses. Go ahead and tell your bosses where you're going to be and when you're going to come back to work. Yeah. I don't care how many cars you're selling. You're not bigger than the dealership.
They'll eventually get tired of it.
Yeah. Eventually. It's not going to hear too long.
That's 100% what will happen. And it's facts, and we learn these things as we come up. There's people that have helped us learn these. Sometimes we have to make our own mistakes. I think Jason, I, and Lou, I know we've made a lot of mistakes in our careers, but we've also learned from those mistakes. That's why we keep elevating. And the whole point is to make those mistakes, because I believe if you're not making mistakes, you're not even trying. So keep making mistakes and keep trying. But we learn that from ourselves. We also learn that from people. And a lot of times we have great mentors along the way. I know that you have a great wife, somebody that you could lean into that I would consider a mentor also. My wife is one of my mentors. Lou is one of my mentors. There's so many people I could lean into who along the way for you have been some great mentors to help you be able to get to the level that you're at today.
I would say Robert Bailey. He was the owner of Credit Link on the second time I worked for that company. Was a car dealer in Midland, Texas, for a while. I a Nissan store in Midland. I think it was Bayview or Baytown or something. I don't know, somewhere around there. He's just an older guy that's been in the car business a long time. I think what I draw I've seen him go through lawsuits caused by me because I made him a ton of money. And obviously when you make a ton of money, there's eventually lawsuits, no matter what you do. So I've seen him, deal with lawsuits, deal with losing money, deal with catastrophe, and just always keep a level head. And to me, that's special to me because that's what I struggle with most, being such a passionate person. I'm extremely passionate, and sometimes the passion overflows. And I've always looked to Robert and the way that he keeps calm, and the way he, is very mellow when it comes to dealing with walking through the fire. Because as a business owner, as the CEO, as the business owner, that's what you do. You walk through fires. And whoever can walk through the fire without flinching the best, the people are going to follow them. If you start flinching and the fire starts burning, it ain't no one coming in that fire with you. You just might as well walk through the fire yourself. So him being able to keep his calm, walk through the fire has always been something that I've looked up to outside of Scarlet. Now, don't go follow him. He's a private person. He doesn't really care about this social stuff. And his wife, unfortunately, is suffering from an infection that she had in her brain. So she's still in the hospital trying to recover. Thankfully, she's back to being awake. But Robert's always been someone I've looked up to.
Wow. Big shout out to Robert, man. That's huge. I mean, to hear that come from you and the way you just spoke about him and all the things that went, that's amazing. And Robert, big time. What's up? I know that you're not a big social media person, but man,
well,
if you were, I promise you, you'd be huge. But it's amazing because that's the thing, like to each their own, right? And granted, social media is a great platform to be able to help share and grow and learn and do all this stuff, but it also could be a bad weapon. And some people just choose to be away from it. I was away from it all the way up to a couple years ago when I started this podcast. It's the only reason I'm even on it. But I love it because I know it helps us share it. I'm able to build my network that way. I mean, it's been kind of cool. But big shout out, Robert. Big time shout out.
Yes. The importance of having those mentors inside of our life, folks, invaluable.
Yeah.
Invaluable.
Yes.
But I want to highlight that earlier you heard Jason say that there was a time that he felt alone, right? Oh, yeah. He was completely on his own. Even at that point, he was being mentored. Even at that point, he was being cultivated into the person that he is right now, right? There is a good God that loves us individually as we are and is helping us to become more in line with who we actually are. And that's why I love the status quo challenger that you are. We got Phil Tracy over here, got a mouthful saying, read that, Fred. You can read.
I will. It says, the one thing I love about Jason is that he doesn't just say these things to sound good. That's facts. I know this already. He's always one to be upfront with us and say, hey, things might be tough for a bit, but if you stick by my side through this, man, this is so true. This is powerful. If you stick by my side through this and trust that we can do this, we will make it happen. This man is the real deal. Dude,
that's honor.
That is honor, man. And that's wow. And it's truth. And there's no doubt in my mind. I know Jason, we've seldomly got a chance to really speak, but I've heard him speak plenty. I see his messages, and he definitely does not shy away from letting people know his story, right? And he wants that. He wants to inspire. He also wants people to quit using excuses. And right here, Phil shows that. And literally what you just spoke about, walking through the fire without flinching, there's no doubt that's who you are. Phil sees that. Phil will walk through the fire with you. Phil was totally like, he has his eyes on you and he's like, let's go. And I love that.
Being a technology startup, it's probably the most difficult thing that I've had to deal with because, people see the success. Obviously, I put it out there to motivate, encourage, and attract, other successful people and people to me. And then they come over and, they want to be a part of it. The most difficult part, because fires are unpredictable. Like there's not a path through the fire. Like you think you got it all figured out, and then there's a wall of fire, and you got to turn, and you got to change, and you got to move, and you got to adapt.
That's exactly right.
And I think the hardest part because I didn't take investors. I didn't have a ton of money to go hire executives and give people a reason to believe in my vision. I had to sell them on the vision. I had to show them the vision. I had to get them to believe in the vision. It wasn't just, hey, here's, $200,000 a year, believe in my vision. And we had to start with $10 an hour employees, $12 an hour employees when we started. And you have to believe in these people with everything you got. You can't just partially believe in them. You've got to believe in them. You've got to encourage them. You've got to lift them up. You've got to, be behind them. You've got to support them. You've got to, when they're not doing good, you got to motivate them. You got to tell them they're doing good. And the hardest part is finding people that when the fire changes course, that stay with you. Because businesses have to adapt. You have to adapt in your positions. You have to adapt in your pay. If you want a steady pay with what you're going to make, you're going to get your raises every year. You're going to get, exactly what you're going to get. Then you need to go work for Facebook or Instagram, not a startup.
Right.
At a startup level, it's chaos. It's constant change. It's, up and down and left and right and trying this and it not working and trying that and it not working. And then having to try a third time and doubting yourself if it's going to work. The hardest part has been finding people that are willing to do that, that are willing to make those adapt. Like you give someone a title, like, hey, you're going to be the sales manager. I believe in you. You're going to be the sales manager. Here's all the tools you need to be the sales manager.
Yep.
You get 60 days down the road. They're not a good sales manager. They're not using the tools. Hey, I don't think you're going to make a good sales manager. I'm going to have to move you over to this position. That's the fire changing course. And oftentimes finding people that can deal with that. And I'm thankful for Erin, because Erin's been through this fire. And she's held every position that we have. I've promoted her, demoted her, put people that knew less than her in charge of her, just to keep trying things and adjusting things and seeing what's going to work, what's not going to work. And she's walked through that fire with us. And we have some that not just Erin, but there's a good handful of people that have walked through that fire. And that's been one of the hardest struggles, building a startup, from a bootstrap startup to the point that of where we're at now.
Wow, that's incredible, because it's like you've heard the show before or something, right? Because that's exactly where we're going, is into that. But brother, there's something that you're saying there, and I keep fusing together that there's different people. Man, that fire gets so much easier to start walking through when you know somebody is right beside you, going through it with you. When you know somebody might pick you up if you stumble, right? You actually have a new confidence to go through that fire,
right?
And you get an upgrade in confidence when somebody then turns to you and says, all right, I'm following you, I'm believing in you. Because if it wasn't there before in you for yourself, you all of a sudden, it's like you request that power so that the one following you doesn't have to fret, right? It's like that new initial upgrade when you, and appreciate your service, appreciate your Army service with us. And inside of that, there's an understanding when there's a change in rank. You're not promoted because of your ability to do what you do. You're promoted for your ability to do what's at the next level. And as soon as that, bam, the push in of those stripes get put on you, now you're, boom, perform at this level. Begin to lead. Begin to put yourself beneath the importance of other people. And now we're going to go through that fire together. And that's something that I love about the U.S. military, is we do train some fire breathing dragons. We do train some people that are not scared to walk over coals. And sometimes people slip through that. I don't know how they got through the lunch line, right? But there's still a measure of understanding that we have to commit to going through the fire with the people that we have and encouraging each other to get there. And there's a lot of lessons that you just explained that you learned. So I want to know, Jason, what has been the hardest lesson that you've had to learn? And I asked this question on this premise because you alluded to it a little bit. Everybody sees what it is that they see. Let's go ahead and pull this picture up real quick. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, the picture that we're looking at is him leaning on the phone, lamped out, chilling on the Lamborghini, right? That's That's such a dope ride with that wrap. I love the
And
way
man,
that it
and
looks.
boy, Jason's
That
owned a
flat
lot
black.
of dope whips.
Yeah.
All I know is I've seen probably, it feels like 10 different vehicles in the last
right?
24 months, right? I swear he has. He's had everything from the new Bronco to this.
Mhm.
He's had trucks. He's
Hot
constantly
rods. That's
having
all hot.
fun. You know, but that's the thing. He's in this business.
Mhm.
Have fun. Why not? Right.
That's right.
And you know, you earn that. He earns the right because he puts the work behind everything he does.
That's right.
You know,
And like you say, you share that. You let people see that. What they don't see is the hardest lesson. So
Right.
let's give them a little bit of that. Let's tell them about maybe some of that bitter that does get inside of the cup sometimes, and how you overcame it.
Man, that's a tough one. Hey, hold on, my dogs. They think I'm.
I gotta love puppies.
I mean, it's going to be on the religious side if I'm going to talk about.
Come on, brother. You're on the right show for that. You know that.
The most important one. I remember, you know, I took that job that I talked about earlier and I turned that into a direct mail company. We were using the loan by phone hotlines and we were generating leads, and I built a BDC before we even called them BDCs. We called it a call center. And then I don't know where someone came up with BDC, but they were called call centers when I made one. And I grew that pretty large. I think we had 100 employees. We were doing 2.5 million pieces of mail a month. I was 33, 34 years old, making $800,000 a year. As the general manager at this point, I'd already built a team and I had it all dialed in, and I had a huge office with a glass wall, wood floors. I had a $900,000 boat in the San Diego harbor. I had a brand new CLS 55, Escalade, motorcycles, everything you can imagine, watches, everything. And I was coming at $1 million house. I mean, everything you could possibly imagine for a high school dropout with nothing.
Right.
And I was walking in the house one day, and I remember it to this day. I remember what the weather was like. I remember almost the smell. I was agnostic at the time. I had walked away. I had stepped away from God for a little bit just to, you know, get away from religion mainly was the main reason. And I was agnostic, and I felt God tell me, stop taking the glory, because it was all me at this time. It was my office, my team, me, my. And I shrugged it off like I was in my own head. Kept going about my day, you know, doing the stupid things that I was doing at 33 with way too much money. I was married, not doing the right things with my wife and that relationship. I wasn't spending time with my newborn son. There was just a lot of things that I wasn't doing right, and I shrugged that off, and I felt him tell me, stop taking the glory, or I'm going to take it from you. And this whole time I knew I had a talent. I knew I had a God-given talent, something that I didn't work for, that I didn't try at, that was just easy for me. And I knew it was a talent that was given to me, not something I'd worked for. And I shrugged it off. And shortly thereafter, I within the next year, I lost everything, including my wife and son left me. And found myself from being at the top again, back down to nothing again. Had to sell my cars, sell all the watches, boat, house, everything gone. You know, that was a tough lesson to learn. That was probably one of the toughest ones to learn. I didn't quite make it to RV in the middle of the desert, but there was a couple times I didn't want to continue living. And I lived in an area where it was a long, windy road to my house, like really long, windy, you know, mountainous area to get back to my house. And it would have been easy just to yank that steering wheel and say goodbye. And, you know, it took me a little while to really find God. You know, I found Scarlet while I was at the bottom there. She actually, what's amazing is she was friends with my sister. So I would call my sisters depressed, you know, saying I don't want to live anymore. And she would hear this stuff. And she really started talking to me on Facebook to kind of console me. And we ended up going out on a date, but, you know, I didn't find for a while, but when I did find them, which was about 6 years ago, it all made sense. I mean, it all made perfect sense that
Right.
it's not the things that make you happy. It's not the stuff. You get the stuff when you're happy. Like it comes as part of the happiness. Like you have to find happiness. You have to find peace. Because you can have all that stuff and be not at peace. Like you can, and I said it the other day on a Facebook post that money without purpose is torture. Like I had everything I possibly wanted. There's nothing I could have wanted more. There's nothing else I could have wanted material wise at that time.
Yeah.
But I was miserable as a person. I was miserable with the way I was leading my life. I was miserable with the decisions that I was making. And I think a lot of us being in this business, it allows for people without much education to come in and be successful. And we have to be very careful of that, because if you're unhappy, look, if you're unsuccessful, it's probably because you're unhappy. There's probably something in your life that you're unhappy about that's causing you to be unsuccessful. And if you don't deal with that problem and you take a talent that God may have given you or one that you learn and you start making a ton of money, all you're going to do is feed that, and your life is going to implode. You will end up in a worse situation than you were before you ever had the money. So I think the most important lesson to learn is you have to find purpose. You have to find God, and then find the money, because the money without purpose and without God will destroy you. And you could potentially find yourself taking your own life, because it can destroy you that bad. There's nothing like getting all that money and having everything you possibly ever wanted and then taking it all from you.
Love it, man.
And I don't think many people can survive that.
What I love is that you're talking about this on a mental health awareness type month, I believe it is, right? And it's important that we talk about these things, and because it can, understand that you have to have that purpose. You have to have a reason, and go after it. I love that, man. Thank you for just being so open. And that's once again, were we lying? We weren't lying to y'all. Listen, folks, he is not scared to tell you where he comes from and how he did it. And even the times that it was a struggle for him, borderline. See, he was being graphic about his thoughts. He's going down a cliff like area. He literally had visualizations, I guarantee, of pulling off that side. And there's no doubt. That's why he's even talking about it today, folks. I know if you've been out there, you've had those moments, you've felt that, understand that it's okay to have that feeling. Just don't do it. Go out there and just keep growing. Find ways, use faith, use love, find people, find purpose. Find your purpose, and it's out there. And
I think we're in an industry where it's exacerbated, because we do have people that have had that pain, that have that money thrown on top of it. And I think there's definitely a lot more people struggling with that challenge of feeling like you're not where you should be or doing what you should be doing, and then you're throwing money on top of it, which puts you in the bar drinking, which puts you to using drugs, which puts you in situations where you're trying to use the money and the things you can buy with it to cover up the pain. And for me, it's about facing those demons. That's why I talk about it, is because I have so many demons in my closet, and for my childhood and the way I was raised and all those things, that for me, I'm going to look it square in the eyes. I'm going to grab it by its throat, and the demon will not control my life. And the only way for me to take the power from the demon is for it to not have any control over me. Zero power. It is powerless against me. I will talk about it. I will share it. I don't care who's watching. I don't care who knows. There's no demon in my closet that I'm not willing to stare right in the eyes and say, you ain't controlling me.
Right. That kind of boldness is how we should operate, right? That's how we should walk inside of it. We're going to be confronted with the challenges. Folks, they're going to come. You know why they're going to come? Because we are the conquerors. We are even beyond that. We are more than conquerors, right? Which means that there's a level of victory that we attain without really having to be the one that go through the fights. And many of the times, the thing that we're fighting against most is the division in our own minds, in our own hearts. It's the conflict within that then spills out into the rest of our life. right? You were
Yeah.
padded up with all the good stuff. All the goods are all around you, but an absolute mess inside. And what happened with that? Eventually that spilled out. It contaminated, just like one rotten orange in a bag, right?
Yeah.
Eventually they're all going to turn white. They're all going to go bad. And with that, there's so much that people need to be able to hone in on, and understanding that we have value. And if our value is spent in the wrong places, then we're going to get a bad product of it. And there's nothing that fixes it other than you actually really knowing who you are. And then you don't do anything that starts to compete with that understanding, saying, wait a minute, being married, I don't have to work really hard to be faithful. That's a byproduct of what it is that my commitment and my yes was, right? That's a byproduct. It shouldn't be something that I'm applauded for, right? Because I didn't do anything wrong. What should be mimicked is a good, healthy marriage, a good, healthy relationship with your children. And you said it earlier, again, just like many of us underschooled car guys, right? We didn't have much of an education coming into the business, got thrown all of this money and all of these things we weren't educated in, as in how to say no to drugs, right? When you got a pocket full of money, you can say yes to drugs a little easier. Alcohol, buying it for you and a bunch of friends, right? Foods, all kinds of different things.
All the things that you could check off on that list,
right?
of
All the things. Just shovel them in.
check. Yeah, did that. Check, right?
Yeah.
and that's the thing that in education, prior to, maybe some of that manages it, but it's more on the side of the fathering. It's more on the side of grabbing the mentors and letting them say, hey, come here. I understand you're a big shot. I understand you're a tough guy. I understand you're making big money. But let's talk about the things that really do have value inside of your life. Let's talk about the things that actually are your rewards, rather than the things that you're getting, right? And that's something that you've honed into. Again, we mature into this. If we could have had the chance to talk to our 20s car guy, man, we would have had a little bit of a slapping around, a little bit of good coming to Jesus meeting with that car guy. But we honor that you are so real about keeping that in the forefront and explaining. Again, folks, it's not about the picture with the Lamborghini, although that's a great victory. It's more about who it is that you are behind the picture. And Jason has continuously seen that and expressed that. And brother, I love watching, I love hearing. And anytime that we get to hear some of the victories, and the thing is, you don't keep the struggle too hidden, right? You can't tell everybody everything, and you're not supposed to, but you keep it real. And that's something that we honor. That's some good coffee beans for this brew of Car Guy Coffee. But with that, we're going to get to question number 5 of this 5-liner.
So, man, we appreciate this, man. You know, spending this time with you today has been great. Being able to hear your story, knowing your why, knowing what got you in this industry and how far you've come, hearing the mentor. I mean, come on, big shout out, right? And you know, that's the thing. Like, when you have people that you can lean into, there's something special when you can consider that person that deep to you. And I have at least one of those people, right? Now, also knowing all the different struggles you've been through. You've told us a few stories. You took us on a roller coaster ride, man, and it was amazing to be on that. I love roller coasters, and my hands are up. I'm like, let's go, right? So, but now we're talking about your greatest reward. We're talking about the thing that, for all this work that you've done up to today, I know that there's going to be bigger rewards, and I know that there's a bigger picture. You're not ever stopping. You're always going to be ascending to the top of that pinnacle. My question for you, though, is, up to today, what has been your greatest reward?
I mean, you've got the obvious things, family, you know, the house, all the space that we have. But you guys have kind of seen me enter a new chapter probably over the past 2-3 months since I moved in this house, in my personal development. You know, the cars and the watches and everything, I kind of have isolated why I did it. I grew up in a family where there was constant fighting, so I didn't get attention. My sisters didn't get attention. We were always paying attention to them, because we were paying attention to their arguments, trying to console them. Our dreams, our aspirations, our successes, those things weren't really paid attention to. Right. So 6 years ago, when I actually started posting on social media, I started posting my wins. Obviously that was, you know, the first thing that people want to post. And, I found people that would add me and support me and comment and like and say good job. And, you know, even though it might have been just a a crappy win at that time that, you know, someone who was way higher than me took the time to step down and say, hey, good job on that win. Good job on you know, accomplishing that. And it became addicting. You know, I'm not going to lie. It became addicting. Each new car, each new level, each new, you know, win that I got, you know, all the people, and then more people showing up to say, good job, good job, good job. And as a kid who never got that growing up and didn't have friends and kind of had to isolate himself and separate himself from everyone else, it became addicting. About 3 months ago, really when I started moving in this house and slowing down and, you know, kind of, it started before that, but I started really taking action about 3 months ago. I just kind of let go. I sold all the cars. I've now sold all my watches, and you know, my biggest accomplishment is the fact that I don't need that anymore.
Hold on.
Come on now.
Oh my.
Throw his microphone across.
I want to just like, that's a mic drop.
for
Like,
real.
and that's like from heartfelt, and I feel you on that
Real,
so much. What a statement to make. And you're right, I have seen that. I have noticed that. You know, I remember you having like you got the Hulk watch. You had all these different rollies. You could imagine all this stuff, right? Everything that people would consider accomplished, right? And those
We made it, dog. We made it.
don't get me wrong, it does feel great to wear those things, but at the end of the day, what feels even better is the fact that you don't need those things to feel that way anymore.
Yeah, and I don't want to take away from people desiring those things, because they are part of what got me here.
Amen. Yes.
They are a huge part of what got me here. Like,
I agree.
Like, people aren't going to come say good job on your Corolla. They might. I mean, it just depends on the group of people you're around. Some people
Right, 100%.
Some people see a Corolla as a great accomplishment. But in my business, car business, like no one's going to care about my Corolla. It really took that support for me to get to the point to where I know I don't need it now. That it's there, and I still have the support there, but it's not my reason anymore. It's my family's my reason. God's my reason. My peace is my reason. Time, being able to spend time at home. Like, I'm at home right now. I'm about to jump in the pool. And that's my reason. That's what is like, no one's gonna, I could post my pool and no one cares. Like, no, but to me, it's better than all the cars, being able to be at home at 11:52 and say, hey, I can jump in the pool right now. I can go get the pool and enjoy my day. That may not be important to other people, but it's extremely important to me. And you know, the cars and all that stuff help get me there. But they're not going to solve the problem, which is finding that happiness. And that happiness isn't in other people. It's not, other people can't provide that happiness. Now, can they help lift you up so that you could hopefully get out of the state of mind you are? Because we get so deep into it and we can't see the happiness. We can't see God. We can't see anything. And it takes some of that lifting up to get you to the point where you're like, oh, there is light. There is God. Oh, there is everyone. But I think that you do have to go, that can also become addicting to because I know people that are still in that. And we know people that are still chasing that same thing. They're still chasing that attention. They're chasing that desire for people to tell them that they're doing a good job or whatever it is. And I don't want to hate on them, because I know it comes from a place of pain. It's not from a place of ego in a lot of people. It really, it comes across as ego, but most of the time it's coming from a place of pain. And you don't want to get stuck in that way, because I mean, you like, everyone looks up to Elon Musk, but I wouldn't trade with him right now. He's got billions of dollars. And the guy, I mean, what good is billions of dollars if you're not going to use it, and you're going to work all day and sleep in your factory? And
that's what
all
I do. Heard he don't even own a home right now. He's like just staying on people's couch. He does whatever. That's crazy. Richest man, one of the richest man, if not the richest man on the planet. At any moment he could be. You know, sometimes he is, sometimes it's Bezos. Who knows, right? It's always one of them. But yet He's working so dang hard. He's working like triple the hours that we wouldn't want to work. That's not the life I want either. And I agree with you 100%, man. We had to find out, though, by putting in hours like that. We know what it's like. Just like you said, you had to find out if the Lambo is what made you happy. You had to find out if the watch was what made you happy. You went after all those things because that seemed right. And you went after, like, it was cool. It was temporary, though. You're like, that's not what really it is. It's here being with my wife, with my kids, sitting at my pool, knowing that I'm still producing income. I'm still producing a change in automotive. I'm helping dealers grow, and I'm doing that, and I'm able to do it from home. I'm able to do it and look at my landscape and just know that I live somewhere that I want to be. Man, you're blessed, brother, and we are blessed to have you on the show today, dude. That's so impactful, so powerful, brother. Thank you so much, man.
No, for real. It's a characteristic, car guys and car gals, that is of people that have great achievements on attaining the dollars, the cents, the money, the employees, the prestige, the business. Even listening to Brian Benstock and saying, I'm at the point where I'm not concerned about making money. I want to make an impact. Right. And you're hearing an echo of that inside of what Jason is saying. Because he does have an impact on his people, right? You have people that are depending on you. They're paying their bills, right? They're taking care of their kids. They're buying Christmas based off of the opportunity that you provided for them. And inside of that, your faith has stretched you into seeing new things, and getting things were good, but you had to learn for those things not to get you. And that's the big thing about all of us, is that, yeah, we might want to get a thing, but never let that thing get us. Never let that have the grip on us. Because the word says, if you be faithful with little, I'll make you ruler over much. God has given us. The word also says that he has given you the power to gain wealth. That hasn't been given to a little bit to Fred, a little bit to me, a little bit to Jason. That's a gift that was given. And when you tap into the understanding of what you're designed to do, the resources find you to do it. I hope everybody, you might want to write that down, folks, okay? That you have to become who it is that you're supposed to be, and the resources are going to find you so that you can do it. But if you're constantly doing what it is that you're not, it's going to be hard to make one tool do the work that the other tool is meant to do. And you're never going to find fulfillment. And I think that's what we're ultimately wanting more than anything. Is it's not the things that fill us up. It's the fulfillment of what it is that we're doing with who we're doing it with. And we honor the example that you are and that you shared. You kept it real like that, as we knew you were.
I love it. And Jason always keeps it real,
Always.
folks. If you ever have a conversation with this guy, you ever shake his hand, look him in the eyes, he keeps it real. Keep keeping it real, my friend. Keep keeping it real. We appreciate you, folks. All you out there, what's the best way to reach you, Jason? If they want to talk to you, maybe if they want some mentorship, I'm sure that you're very open to talking to people, at least sharing. So
Facebook Messenger, either my personal or my business page, either one. I check it instantly. So if you're trying to spam me, I will not check it instantly.
Yeah, don't. Hey, listen, folks, we're not trying to buy Bitcoin right now. I
don't want no Bitcoin or none of that.
Hey, you ever done Forex trading? Let's go. I'm like, come on, leave me alone.
Right? I don't need no HR help. None of that.
No, none
of that kind of stuff. But if you need help, and if you're looking for a way to grow your dealership, reach out to him, man. They got great products over there. I can attest to it. I know it. I've sat down and watched their demo. They're doing big things, and man, they're constantly changing and evolving too. So reach out to them for some help. Jason, thank you so much for being on the show. Folks, this has been great. This has been the 5-liner of the year. Let's go. I appreciate you being so open and so forthcoming with everything that's going on in your life and has gone on in your life, man. You are a blessed man, and you're just going to keep getting blessings. Keep sharing it, man. Keep sharing it.
Keep sharing that around. And car gals, we are going to encourage you all to keep sharing this around, because our friend Jason Girdner from TECOBI is 100% CGC approved.
That's right.
That's right. And we want to make sure that each and every one of you that are CGC approved and are making sure that this culture is being caffeinated and we are transforming by Forgive, Focusing, and Flying. Join us one more time as we forgive, focus, fly, and we head out for the end of the show. Jason Girdner's been brewing solutions. Here we go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Forgive, focus, fly, and keep
growing. That's my dude.
Growing. I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And I'm Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And we've been brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee podcast with the incredible, the one, the only Jason
Girdner.
That's right, everybody. Keep it rocking, keep it shared around. Go to carguycoffee.com if you want some more of that good stuff that we're brewing. And please, please let Jason know how you've been impacted by this episode. Reach out to him, give him thumbs up, coffee cup emojis, and share it around. We love you all. Talk to you later. Out.
Peace.